What invigorates your creativity? What are you most inspired by?
I have trouble with questions like that sometimes. Like, I have the same question, like trouble with like, who's your favorite drummer? You know? Well, what mood am I in? Because John Bonham doesn't sound anything like Max Roach. Like, you're going to get something completely different. Or, what's your favorite kind of art? Well, I don't know. Show me something and I'll tell you if I like it or not. I'm not, or favorite kind of music. I listen to so many different things. Like questions like that, I find that really difficult to answer. But where do you gain inspiration from? Probably back to like my family, just seeing them. We were raised, it was like instilled in us to have passion in things and to be interested in things. So, I don't know, inspiration can come from anywhere. My name is Alexander Peck. I am a professional musician, a drummer, a singer, and I'm also an artist. And I reside in Weirton, West Virginia, 30 miles or so outside of Pittsburgh. My father's a pianist composer, my mother's a singer and a drummer. My older brother plays music, he's a professional musician in New York, plays bass. We always had a studio in the house. So it's kind of like the same question people ask me, what was the first concert you go to? And a lot of people have that answer. Then it's like, well, what's your first concert? I don't know. I don't remember. Just live music has always been around. I get a lot of inspiration from my family. My father writes music every day. In the last 15 years, he's written 8,000 songs. So he's sometimes writing 2 to 3, 4 songs a day. So there's a major inspiration there of just seeing someone who is so diligent and so dedicated, I'm gonna do this every day, and then he does. Even when he doesn't feel like it, he goes over and does something. He writes every day, completed tunes. And my mother, she's the first person I ever heard play drums, when I was little. And the singing, she's an amazing singer. She's also an artist. She taught me a lot when I was a kid, like about perspective and painting, and I got into a lot of stuff artistically through her. My older brother is he's like that too. He's very single-minded, like music, playing, working in the studio every day. Outside of the family, and even, God, my grandparents too. My grandparents are country musicians, my uncles, well, actually, with my brother, my mom was playing drums and singing in a band 6 nights a week until she was 8 months pregnant.
Wow.
I started playing drums at 12. I started playing music when I was 6, and I went through trumpet, clarinet, violin. I tried a lot of different stuff, and then started hitting the drums around 12, and probably started sitting in with my parents' jazz group within 4 or 6 months. I love Roy Haynes, especially the man is now 93 and he's still playing. Like, when do you retire from this? And the answer is just never. Art Blakey, Max Roach, a lot of great drummers in Pittsburgh, Roger Humphreys, and I had the pleasure of being able to spend a little time and hang out with and listen to Joe Harris, who recently passed away. He was in his 90s, still doing it. So I, to date, probably still have only had 10 or less drum lessons, like actual, like sitting down with somebody and taking a lesson. When I started playing, I had tried a bunch of different instruments. My brother was, at this point, he had played piano, saxophone, clarinet, and all, in school band and stuff. And then he started playing bass. And a year later, he and my dad were working on tunes, playing a lot, and I just felt a little left out. And they were always sort of coaxing me, like, you got rhythm, we can tell, you should, hey, try the drums. And I don't know, And I was really more focused on sketching, artwork, and stuff. And I just came downstairs one day, I sat down at the drums, grabbed a pair of brushes, and started keeping time. My dad actually looked at me, he went, oh, really? I said, eh. Just that, on a daily basis, I started playing with them, keeping time. I knew the basic concept, keeping time, swishing the brushes on the snare, 2/4 on the hat, and just, that's where it began. And then, not too long after, I started sitting in. They had all these like steady gigs, Wednesday at the Eagle Inn, and Thursday at the Best Western Lounge, and then this club, and then what have you, and very easy for me to, pretty low key. I could sit at the bar, and even though I was 12 years old, I knew all the wait staff at these places, and they all thought I was older than I was, I think. But yeah, just playing, and then my brother leans over and he goes, "Hey man, try this next time around." Like, hey, when we go to the bass solo, go to the hi-hat instead of the ride, you know? Oh, okay. And then you start doing that every time, and then you just build and build and build. I sat down with a few drummers around Pittsburgh, a few guys around the Ohio Valley. My uncle was a really great drummer, and I had, sat down and had some lessons with him. But I grew up watching him play, and
in a lot of ways, your family molded the drummer that you are.
Totally, yeah. And then, and working on things and listening, and I would probably consider myself self-taught, but there's obviously nobody's in a vacuum. So yeah. McDonald's of Elm Grove in Wheeling. The owners, there was a husband and wife, and the owner played guitar, and then decided they were going to do live music. They were hiring my dad to play solo piano on Sundays. My brother was working on upright bass, and so he started going in with them and working on tunes. And then my mom goes, well, I'll come too. And she started bringing the drums, and they bring a PA, and she'd sing. And I was in there 12, 13 sitting in. And then when I became the drummer in their band at 14, I played, that gig went for 3.5 years. And I played the last 1.5 years of it, or 2 years of it. And man, there were musicians coming from Pittsburgh to sit in. Roger Humphreys came down, Dwayne Dolphin. Yeah, they went ahead after the first year, they invested in a baby grand piano. They had a baby grand piano sitting in there 24/7 in the McDonald's for the guys to play every week. It was really cool because there were all these kids that heard jazz that otherwise wouldn't have. And it was like, I don't know, 15 years after that ended, my father got a call from a guy wanting to hire us to play his wedding. And he heard us there.
Wow.
He was like, you're the band that played at the McDonald's in Wheeling, right? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I used to come there with my folks after church. I was 9, and I'm getting married, and I would love, can you come play the cocktail set and for dinner at our wedding? Like, sure, okay. I've always kept up with sketching and things, and I started drawing on heads in lessons while teaching. I was teaching at the Center for Music and Art in Wintersville a long time ago, and that's actually probably the first time I did some of that, but then I'm teaching at Empire Music in Mount Lebanon, Pittsburgh. I started drawing a circle like drum teachers do in the middle of a snare head to like get kids to be more accurate, and then started like putting eyes on it and like doodling, and and then it would kind of wear away, and then I'd do another one. And the little kids always liked it because I'd be like, hit this guy in the face. You got to hit that guy in the face. Well, I don't want to hit him in the face. No. He likes it. He's into it. He likes to get hit in the face. He's a jerk anyway. Hit him in the face, and then they'd get like, oh, okay, yeah, I got to hit that guy in the face, Eventually that drum head ended up on the wall, and then I just started doing more, and then realized like I got, like a lot of drummers do, you pull ahead and you go, well, it's not broken, so I better hang on to this. And then you end up with like stacks of them, and I've got stacks of drum heads upstairs, and just started messing with it. But I always had like Sharpies around, and it's really interesting. You can do things with Sharpies on a coated drum head that you can't do on paper. Some of it is haphazard, a lot of it's, like I did these, I've done this whole series of like these kind of crazy monster faces, and the first one I did, I literally was covering something else up on another head. And then I was like, oh, that kind of looks like a weird shape of a face, and then I outlined it, and then I did these weird symbols on it, and I've had people, I didn't even really know what it was called originally, but I guess it's called asemic writing. Is like abstract, it looks like writing, but it's not. And I have people ask like, are these Mandarin, or what is this? And I'm like, no, this is just random scribbles that look aesthetically pleasing to me, And then I've kind of moved on to like, doing these kind of wild, kind of flowing hair or flowers, or, these blends of colors, these different things. And I don't like doing the same thing. I get bored. So I try to keep doing new stuff. And yeah, so far I haven't ended up with something, but you can work things until you like it. So, and there's, I won't say which ones, but there are drum heads that I went, this is stupid. And I completely started over, you know. So, but unlike a, you know, like a Van Gogh or something, you're never going to be able to reveal what was originally under there. I was already doing a few of these a week, and then over the last year, I've sort of gotten to where I'm doing maybe 1 or 2 a day. I think in October I did like 35 pieces. I've kind of slowed down like after the new year here, like January, February, but I think I've still in the last 2 months I've done probably 30, you know, 30 or 40 in the last 2 months. So, and you know, playing drums, cutting tracks, recording. I'm working on my house. I wasted a lot of time in my 20s. I watched a lot of movies. Now I gotta work this out. You know, I got stuff to do. Just, yeah, creating things and sound. I love sound. I love not just music, but people's voices and mannerisms. And, you know, I'm very, very auditory, but very visual as well. There's sort of this thing in my head every once in a while. It's just like, you can't just put that out there. That's not good. You know.
So it's yourself in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Motivates you.
Very much, yeah. I want to produce something that, you know, that I like. If I don't like it, then, you know, who else is gonna like it? But yeah, that's maybe more with the artwork. That's a little easier. I can look at a piece of artwork and I'm like, I really like this, and then, you know, it's a little quicker. But when you're like recording a tune or cutting a piece, you know, sometimes while you're playing it, you're like, that sucked. Oh, that sucked. And then you listen back and you're like, well, that wasn't, yeah, that's all right. That's, you know, so yeah, sometimes it can just be perception, but yeah.
What's your preference, crispy or soft chocolate chip cookies, and why?
Oh man, I like them a little overbaked.
Okay.
You know, if we're talking fresh.
Yeah, or like you know how like Chips Ahoy gives you the option, you can buy the soft ones or the crispy ones. Which ones do you gravitate towards?
If we're talking store-bought, the soft ones creep me out a little bit. You know, they shouldn't be like that. There's something going on here, right? Am I right? I'm not crazy here, right? The soft ones, when you buy them in that package, they were made in Des Moines or something, and then they were shipped all over the place, and then they've been sitting on the shelf. There's the package at the back of the shelf, and you get them home, and they're like soft, like they just came out of the oven. There's something wrong with these. There's something wrong with that, you know? When you get a Chips Ahoy, I'm a child of the 80s. You get a Chips Ahoy, they're crumbs all over you. They're you know, they're a little firm, yeah. But if we're talking homemade, you know, I'm gonna go with I like if they're just like almost burnt, like just a little past the thing. There's still a fresh, soft quality, but there's something about, you know, yeah, just a little, you know, yeah, little extra time. Gotcha. Yeah, I like it.